I want to speak to the children who are here. Because Gail Halverson's story, in terms of his impact, in terms of what he did for the world, starts with children. And so I want all of you kids who are here to think about what happened almost 75 years ago. And it starts in an airport not too different from this. A runway not too different from the one we're standing next to. And yet, as opposed to the beautiful mountains we were surrounded by, they were surrounded by bombed out buildings. And these kids, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, were living in this rubble. And they were kids whose only memories of America, whose only memories of their own life had been amid war and of bombs falling on their homes, of their families, of their fathers, their older brothers going off and sometimes never coming back. And as the Berlin airlift happened, as their own city was surrounded and food, which was already difficult to gather, was no longer coming into their homes, they gathered by this airport in Tempelhof Air Base. And one day, a man came up to them, and he started talking to them as they were on the other side of this fence. A group of about 30 kids. And he didn't speak much English, and they didn't, or he didn't speak much German, and they didn't speak much English. But they were able to have a little bit of a conversation. And he was about to leave. He started to walk away. He was late to meet somebody. He was in a place where he wasn't really supposed to be. These were kids who were dressed in rags. They didn't speak the same language as him. They looked a little bit different than the kids that maybe he knew growing up. And he started to walk away, but then he stopped. And he headed back towards them. And he took 2 pieces of gum and ripped them in half and gave them to these kids, and he saw their eyes open wide. Because these were kids, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, who had never had a piece of gum, never had something sweet, never had a piece of chocolate in their entire lives. And he saw how amazed they were. And so he promised that he was going to come back the next day, and as he was flying in a plane just like the one we saw, that he was going to wiggle his wings and drop some candy down to them in little parachutes made of handkerchiefs. And he kept his promise. And the kids kept on coming back. And by the end of that summer, you didn't have 30 kids there. You had thousands of kids gathered every single day by the Tempelhof fence. And they fell in love with America. And they saw that somebody out there cared about them. And because of that, what he did changed their lives, and it changed the world. And that's why we're here enjoying this amazing day together. And as you heard, the theme of this gathering is to remember, is to celebrate, is to inspire, and is to challenge. And so I want to challenge all of these kids. I want you to think about how you can carry that legacy forward. Because there's going to come these times in your lives when it's easier to walk away. And yet, I want you to think about Gail Halverson and think about how he didn't walk away, but he turned back. And he came back, and he kept his promise. And his acts of kindness and goodness and generosity and compassion sent ripples through the world. And if you do that too, if you don't walk away, if you come back, if you keep your promise, you're going to keep on sending those ripples, and we're going to make the world a much better place. So thank you very much for having me here today, and thank you for all we do to carry forward the legacy of Gail Halverson.
What I tell my airmen is, when I say let's go, It means I appreciate the oath you took. I appreciate the uniform you wear. I appreciate that you're going to stand to my left, to my right, and you're going to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. It means that I know what it means for a family, for a wife, for a husband, for parents to give their blood and treasure to this country and expect us to get a mission done, and most importantly, expect us to win. So when I say let's go, that's the Warrior Creed. It means all that. We'll say it 3 times. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! All right, giddy up. We're warmed up. I'm speaking to everybody here, but I'm certainly going to concentrate my words here to the Halverson family, which are truly American royalty, Air Force royalty, Air Mobility Command royalty, and it's truly a treat that you would invite me in to help in some way play a small tribute to the legacy that Colonel Gale Halverson laid out for us all. All right, so I don't have a podium. It's a little bit windy. I'm going to try to make all this work. I did get a realtor last night, for the record. Someone ran me a card. Hopefully the boom's not as crazy here as it is everywhere else, but I suspect it is. I wanted to thank the Halverson family specifically because I know that you really let us in a very intimate way. To a large extent, we are all part of the Halverson family. But for the blood relatives, we understand that spiritually we're joyous, but physically we have an airman that's accounted for, but not present. And that you would let us in during that time where we're both joyous and missing someone is incredibly humbling for us. And thank you. We owe you a round of applause for that. Thank you. It strikes me that Colonel Halverson is a coach. And for those of us who play sports, we know that the best coaches are firm, fair. They come from a position of love. And what do they want to do? They want to win. Winning matters. And when it comes to Gale Halverson, he's a coach about life. He's a coach about spirit and spirituality. He's a coach to the airmen in the Air Force. He's certainly a coach to my tribe, the Mobility Tribe. He's an American coach on what it means to be American, and certainly he's a coach on what it means to be a humanitarian. So the question was asked earlier and last night, what am I doing with my 2 pieces of gum? I'm ripping them in half, and I'm paying it forward. All right, and I want to add my thread to the durable Halverson fabric of attitude, gratitude, and service. Let's go!